the RTX 3060 12GB or the RX 6600 XT. Let's see which one is better in competitive gaming, and we're going to be testing this one out in our games: Warzone, Apex Legends, Fortnite, Valorant, or PUBG. And also always, we're going to be using competitive settings in all these games. We are using the latest drivers for both cards, and we are pairing this with our Ryzen 5800 X3D. We're using an external PC to do all the recording, so there's no performance loss in here. Let's start off with Call of Duty Modern Warfare Synthetic Benchmarks at 1080p. And right off the bat, we can say there is no contest here, boys. Look at that one. Let's over like nearly 30% difference, and look at the 1% and 0.1% lows in this one. That's like 30 FPS difference in here. Yeah, you could say right there that it's just like, yeah, this is a bloodbath. The RX 6600 XT just dominates the RTX 3060 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare, well, synthetic benchmarks. But let's move on to 1080p with DLSS and FSR 2.1 and see if there's any difference at all. And as always, like, probably use this one just for like multiplayer, but not really on Warzone because of visibility penalties. But, and once again, no contest here, boys. Look at that one. 196 average FPS versus 153, and the 1% lows. Look at that one. 120 versus 167. Totally a wash for the RX 6600 XT. How about we try out real world gameplay? So we can try this one out in Al Mazrah and see if there's any difference between the two. And here we go, Al Mazrah. And the first thing that you would notice in here, boys, is look at that frame times. Look at the terrible frame times on the RTX 3060, and look at how smooth it is on the RX 6600 XT. And yeah, the 1% lows is just too wide of a difference. That we are GPU bottleneck in here. So yeah, but despite that, yeah, there's just no contest in here. With RTX 3060, I'm pretty sure your precision will be affected with those terrible frame times. So yeah, the RX 6600 XT uses more RAM, and that's because it's putting out more FPS and output in there. Here we have the DLSS and FSR 2.1. Obviously, I don't recommend using this one on Warzone because, you know, you need that visibility. And look at that, yeah, we have difficulty seeing really far away. Like, look at the Ryzen, it's not as good in terms of visibility, but if you really want to push those FPS, you could do so. Yeah, and once again, there's no contest here. The obvious winner is the RX 6600 XT. Now, let's go to Apex Legends and see if there's any difference. Okay, here we go. Apex Legends competitive settings at 1080p, and let's try this one out in the firing range and see if there's any difference between the two and which one is stronger. Alright, and looks like the RX 6600 XT could be leading, maybe. Oh, there's the frame time spike in there. And let's see which one comes out better in terms of this heavy action scenes. And I think we have better stability with our RX 6600 XT. Let's try some stealth shots. Stealth shots are pretty boring. The RX 6600 XT does have a slight lead in here, but you know, if you're just like doing some long range visibility, there's very negligible difference in here, like 185, 1% lows to 187, 1% lows, and about like 14 FPS difference in terms of average FPS. That's pretty negligible. Let's move on to our next game, Fortnite. And as always for Fortnite, we're going to test out all three APIs, DX11, DX12, and performance mode. Let's start off with DX12 in here. So yes, okay, now very important here, boys. The RTX 3060 run in here, this is the best run that we had. We had to repeat this multiple times, and this is the best run. There's a lot of bad runs, so obviously DX12 favors AMD. I mean, yeah, look at the 0.1% lows, the 1% lows. Look at that one. Not so much difference in terms of average FPS, but like I said, RTX 3060 here, this is the best run. We did this multiple times, like over 10 times. This is the best run. So yeah, no contest in here in terms of DX12. It just favors the AMD card. Look at that one, 345 average FPS. Oh, that's that one. 1% lows at 250 versus 229. And yeah, on like really action scenes in here. Yes, let's move on to DX11. There we go, DX11, and once again it seems to favor AMD in terms of 1% lows. I mean, they do have high average FPS in here. Yeah, 0.1% lows is fine. Look at the difference between thermal, boys. Like there's like 49 degrees and 66 degrees in here. We are using the Pulse model for the RX 6600 XT, while we're using the AVGA XC for the 3060. Pretty basic cards, but obviously the RX 6600 XT runs cooler on this one. And check out the GPU power as well. You've got more power on the RTX 3060 for DX11. Both have the same frame time spikes in there. You know, obviously the average FPS goes to the NVIDIA card, but the 1% lows goes to the AMD card. I mean, I'll probably, if I'm using AMD, I'll probably use the DX12. Let's go with performance mode and see how this one turns out for both cards. And yes, this is NVIDIA's strength. Performance mode is just really great for NVIDIA. Look at that one, boys. Average FPS are 415 versus 270. And look at the frame times of AMD's card. Terrible frame times, and we know this is just terrible, and this is because of the GPU clock. It's just that bad. Look at the GPU clock. It's not even maxing out. It's just around 1000 frame times. Terrible results for AMD. And yes, I know we're going to test this one out. We're going to bump the clocks for AMD and see how that one turns out for our RX 6600 XT. Yeah, we're not GPU bound in here, so you can see that like we're mostly CPU bound in here, but even then there's still a massive difference between the two cards. So yeah, we're going to trialing out like both the minimum clocks of our RX 6600. Let's shoot it in here to 2200. That's what you guys have suggested. Put it there, apply changes, let's go. And here we go. We have now slightly better results, but still it's much worse compared to the 3060's performance mode. So yes, if you're going for performance mode, 3060, the RTX 3060 is a way better option compared to the RX 6600 XT, even with our slight minimum clock overclock. But same thing still remains. Our AMD card still remains really cool compared to our NVIDIA card. And yeah, that's like double the GPU power as well for the RTX 3060 compared to RX 6600 XT. So obviously the RX AMD card is much more efficient in terms of power, but the results show that. So, but yeah, let's move on to next game, which is Valorant. So in here in Valorant, we are testing using competitive settings at 1080p. Yep, pretty much competitive settings. We're going to test out both cards and see if there's any difference. That most of the time we are CPU bound in here, but check this one out. Look at the difference between the 1% lows of both cards, boys. Massive difference. That's like 175 difference in terms of 1% lows. I mean, you could ignore the average FPS because that's truly high enough, but the 1% lows and the 0.1% lows, no contest in there. The AMD card still remains to be cooler compared to the RTX card. Here we go, heavy action scene. It still stays the same. We've got better results with our NVIDIA card. So if you're a Valorant player, it makes sense to just pick the RTX 3060 instead of the RX 6600 XT. Let's move on to our last game, which is PUBG, and in here we are using 1080p competitive settings, and as always we are using DX11 Enhance. So here we go, and looks like in our results in here that so like favors the AMD card. Look at that one. It's more or less the same on the average FPS, but the 1% lows are way better on the AMD card, and we're both GPU bound in here, GPU bottleneck in here. And look at how hot the RTX 3060 is, 70 degrees versus 54 degrees, and power is about 25 watts for that RTX 3060. So obviously the much more efficient card is the AMD card. Anyway, I hope this was really helpful for you guys, and if you want more tips about this one, or if you have any more cards that you want me to check out, please drop a comment in there. Hit that like button, boys, and subscribe to the channel. We've got about 68 loyal subscribers, so let's bump this up to 100 subscribers, and I'll see you guys on the next video.